Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadhana Panchakam, verse 3. Vakyarthascha vicharyatam śrutishirav pakshas samāśrīyatāṁ tustarkat suviramyatam śrutimatastarko'nusandhīyatām brahmaivasmi vibhavyatam ahar garvav parityajyatam deheham matirujyatam buddhajanair vadav parityajyatam. So this section begins having heard the teachings of the revelations known as Shravanam. This verse looks into the progress, defines the progress of the student. There are certain aspects, certain stages that must be taken into account. If we were to create a framework of the progress a seeker makes in his journey, spiritual journey, one stage is what we call in the tradition Purushartha Nischaya. Purushartha Nischaya means clarity of what is the goal you want in your life. What is the goal one seeks in one's life? And so if I want moksha is clear, then the process to achieve your goal would also become clear. If somebody wants money to become a billionaire, well, then the journey towards becoming a billionaire you take up. One's goal must be very clear. What is it one really wants? The predominant goal, the predominant definition of success that exists for you. This is called Purushartha Nischaya. I want moksha and moksha alone. When this is the predominant pursuit, the intensity, the clarity with which a seeker would pursue his goal becomes also obvious. The second element here is what we say sadhana nischaya. Sadhana nischaya refers to what is the means I adopt. Our tradition guides us. The spiritual tradition guides and says, shows, reveals clearly that the problem of bondage or afflicted life is based on self-ignorance. A person not knowing who he or she truly is searching for freedom. In fact, if we were to say certain basic components of Indian philosophy, we would say there are 5 components. Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, Bandha and Moksha. This means the individual, Jiva, the world, Jagat, Ishvara, the creator of the universe, Bandha, bondage, Moksha, freedom from bondage. These 5 components form the basic Indian philosophy. So for a spiritual seeker, another aspect to look into account is, this bondage, is it real? The sense of affliction, is it real, or is it based, does it have its roots in self-ignorance? If it has its basis in self-ignorance, then the solution is self-knowledge. And therefore, the pradhana sadhanani, the main means of knowledge, the main means to achieve moksha is self-knowledge, because the root cause is self-ignorance, the solution is self-knowledge. This is sadhana nischaya. The third aspect that a student must have clarity on is what we say pramana nischaya. Pramana nischaya refers to that, yes, I want moksha, and self-knowledge is the path to moksha. Thirdly, where from I can get this self-knowledge? For which we say the self-knowledge is to be gained through a means. The means of self-knowledge is shabda, words. The words are the words of revelation of the Veda. And so these words of revelations must come from a source, as words don't speak themselves, and therefore the Guru tradition. And hence the pramana nischaya refers to the Guru tradition, where you have access to the words of Vedanta. These 3 areas, if a student is clear about, if a spiritual seeker is clear about, then we have someone who's on the right track towards his destination. The pramana nischaya, recognizing that Vedanta, words of Vedanta, Vedantic teachings, is the answer. How does one unlock these teachings? Here, the tradition says it is to be done in 3 steps. Atmavare drashtavyaha, shrotavyaha, mantavyaha, nididhyasitavyaha. The self is to be heard, listened to from the words of the Guru. Mantavyaha is to be reflected upon. Nididhyasitavyaha is to be assimilated through contemplations. So the method is declared. One may ask, why is it so involved? Why is this learning so involved? Well, it is involved because the confusion, the conclusions born of self-ignorance are so deep. The soul that is free, limitless, when it takes itself to be bound, trapped in the body when it is not, that whole thought system, that whole paradigm shift needs to take place, and which involves a proper process. A process that gives you the courage to declare right as right, wrong as wrong. Truth is always as is. It doesn't lend itself to prejudices of individuals. And therefore, without personal prejudices and coloration, to be able to say 1 plus 1 is 2, this is how it is, takes a phenomenal training of the mind. And so we have here a proper learning process. The system of learning is based in the Veda. There are systems, there are schools of thought which have emerged, taking Veda as the main means, which is correct. But the conclusions they draw may be different. There are also systems which take tarka or logic, reasoning-based systems, using Veda as a support logic, such as Sankhya, Yoga. These systems, they take tarka as their main, with Veda as support, whereas Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, Vishishta Advaitam, Dvaita philosophy, they have arrived at different answers, different conclusions, even though Veda is the main source. There are other systems of conclusions of philosophy that do not accept the Veda, that use pure tarka or pure logic, and they also need to be addressed. And these systems, when you address them, when you counter them with the logic, it is called mananam. Hari Om Tat Sat.